The fans, especially in Greece, are absolute animals. They kill people for the club that they love. It's more than a religion. They've been brainwashed by the idea of this club that they're willing to kill for it.
Excellence is about standing, and excellence is a requirement for your dream to come true.
I started at 4 years old, playing with kids older than me, and I think that was good, obviously, to, even though they were bigger than me, is still to get experience playing. But yeah, it was always good memories, good vibes. Loved playing it from a small age. I was always into a lot of different sports, not just soccer, but even at school I would play volleyball, basketball, hockey, road hockey.
And so why did your dad want you to start earlier? Did he want you like out of the house because you were too...
No, not at all, because in my generation, we don't have the problem that kids have today where they have to literally force their kids to get out the house and get off the iPad. So for me, it was just, I think it's a cultural thing amongst Greeks, because I am Greek, that always, no matter what the gender of the child, they always want to put their kids in soccer, whether it's... girls, boys, doesn't matter. They always just start with soccer because, well, for me, I think it's a very good idea because it teaches you teamwork. It teaches you so many different things in terms of being a very good extracurricular activity.
Yeah. Has it been like this for Greek, this focus on soccer, or is it since like 2004 and
no, I don't think so, because Greece were also very strong in basketball. As Panathinaikos just won the EuroLeague for the first time in God knows how long. So we've been doing well in basketball as well. We have a very strong national team in terms of basketball. So it's always either basketball or soccer, but I think because soccer is the most popular sport in the world, and there's so much potential to be given to the sport, and also everyone loves watching it. Everyone loves interacting with the players, the whole ambiance, the whole vibe of soccer. I think that's why Greeks tend to lean towards that more.
Okay, and is there in your family whether people playing at like elite level, or nobody into that?
Yeah, so nobody in my family played at the level that I'm playing at currently, but my dad played in his village. He played semi-pro.
Okay.
He loves to boast about that here and there, but never got to the point where I am. So it's almost as if for him, he's living his dream that he never got vicariously through me.
Nice.
So it's like, it's not just that I'm playing for myself, I'm playing for my whole family and my dad especially.
Very cool. Does he follow you? Does he come to the games?
Oh, yeah, for sure. So both my parents, they live in Toronto. Okay. My dad has a Greek restaurant in Toronto, and whenever he has time, he comes and watches the games.
Okay. I think your brother play also.
Yeah, so my brother's in the second team. He's on the reserve team of CF Montreal. He's a very promising star, in my opinion.
How old is he?
He's 18 years old.
Okay.
But yeah, he's striving to get to where I am, and I think there's a bright future for him for sure.
Very cool. So was there any sort of competition at a young age between you and him? I think you're 5 years?
We have a 5-year difference. So to be honest, there wasn't really a competition per se until he came of age where he was actually physically and skill-wise getting to my level, because other than that, it was just mainly him like chasing to get to where I'm at, because I always laid the path for him to progress wherever he can, right? So like it's almost like I'm giving him the platform and the opportunity to show what he can really do, which for me, he's got all the upside in the world. So for him,
he sees the mistakes you make.
He sees the mistakes I make. He sees everything, like how my life's going, what to do, what not to do, how to act around people. So I think I'm a pretty good role model for him.
And so when did it become more serious? You said soccer at 4 or 5. You don't even remember, of course.
Yeah.
You probably played for fun at the beginning, but you remember a specific point in time where it became more than just playing for fun?
Yeah. So I played for multiple teams growing up. I started playing for this Greek team called Olympic Flame. It's a team around the Greek community in Toronto in the East End. I would say 90% of the kids that play on that team were Greek. And so I played for them. I played for multiple different teams. And then when I was 8 years old, there's this academy called Sigma, which is one of the biggest academies in all of Ontario. They've produced a multitude of talent that play on the Canadian national team, that play pro around the world. And so I was in their academy at 8 years old. And then at 9 years old, they took us on a trip to Holland and Belgium so we can play some friendlies there. So it was a huge experience for all of us. Like, you know, our parents came, they looked after us, whatever. We stayed in hotels. We bonded as a team for the first time. Again, I was playing with kids older than me, so that everyone else was 10. I was 9 years old.
And it's a huge difference at that
Yeah,
age,
it's
right?
a very big difference. So we played against Ajax, we played against Feyenoord, we played against Club Brugge, ADO Den Haag, all these like big teams in Holland. And so I was invited by an Ajax scout to go and try out for their team during that summer, because we had gone during March break. So during that summer, they invited me back to go and train with their team. And the big issue is that FIFA had just changed the rule that both parents had to move to Europe if someone like me from Canada wanted to go and move to Europe to play there, say Ajax wanted me, then both the parents would have to move there, and both the parents would have to go get jobs. It's not like Messi where they just like literally sent him off to Barcelona. He can do whatever he wants. So that was the rule. So unfortunately, that couldn't work because my dad had a business, my mom had her job, so it never came to light. But what was good afterwards is that I continued playing. I kept progressing in Canada. I was playing for, again, a multitude of different teams. And then I got another opportunity when I was 12 to go to Spain. And so I went and tried out for Espanyol, which is another team in Barcelona. I trained there for a month. And again, they told my dad the same thing, like, yeah, we'll take him on, but both the parents have to move because that's the rule.
Is that for minor? Like
It's for minors, yeah. So if
18?
It's for kids that are under 16, both the parents have to move. And they had just changed that rule, I think, like maybe 2 years before I started going to Europe. So that didn't work either. And so the only place where I could go without both parents having to move, because I had a Greek passport, was Greece.
Okay.
So I went to a bunch of different camps in Greece. I got scouted by the three major teams, which was Olympiacos, Panathinaikos, and AEK in Athens. I tried out for all three. I liked Panathinaikos the most. They wanted to keep me. So as of the following season, when I was 14 years old, I moved there. And I was there by myself, living with my aunt and uncle.
So you said your dad was kind of living his dream through you.
Yeah.
But at 14, when you have to make choices and you have a team that wants you, is that really you making the choice, or that's the reason why the FIFA came up with that rule that younger people need to be occupied?
Yeah, like obviously a lot of people can say like, oh, like your dad probably forced you into this, or, you know, they were really pushing you to push your dream. But I've had multiple conversations with my dad, especially at that young age. And I think I was very mature for my age at that point to make that big of a decision, especially like moving across the world, away from my family, away from my friends, just to give up my whole adolescent life to go and live in Greece and play soccer. So, we've had multiple conversations. And the one thing he always told me, if you ever want to quit, if you ever don't want to do this, tell me. Because I need to know if you don't want to do this. If you want to do this, I will help you through everything. But if you don't, then you got to tell me so that we can, you know, move on. And, you know, worst comes to worst, you come and play in America, go get a scholarship if you want to continue playing soccer. If you don't want to play soccer, it's not for you. That's completely fine by me. But if you want to pursue this dream and you want to go there, you have to be 100% sure with it. Yeah. And I was, so I went.
Nice. And so what happens when you get there? Do you feel the pressure? Is there some sort of different pressure? Because here you had different teams around Toronto and stuff.
Yeah, so I
think those teams you mentioned are high level. I
think as soon as I got there, that's when you finally come to the realization where you're like, okay, this is it. Like, I actually have to, like, it's become a job now. Yeah. Even though you're not getting paid, you're 14 years old, whatever, but it's a whole new life.
It's a long internship before it becomes
a
job.
So you have to adjust to new country. My Greek wasn't the best when I got there. So, for example, amongst our teammates and everything, I would get bullied. I would get made fun of for the grammar mistakes I would make, or when I wouldn't be able to understand some things, or I wouldn't be able to go out with the guys because my Greek wasn't the best. So the only friends I really did had were at school, because I was going to a private school there, an English private school. And so all my friends spoke English, and that's where I could really bond with them. The first year was very tough. I was living with my aunt. I barely got to see my mom, dad, my brother.
They came back to Toronto, right?
Yeah, they were all living in Toronto still. And then, so it was very difficult. And then after that year, I wasn't living with my aunt anymore. And my mom and brother moved to Greece to live with me. And my brother came and he was playing for Panathinaikos' under 9-10 team at the time. So, yeah, like it was a big move for our whole family. We all moved to Greece, and the only one that stayed behind was my dad because he still has the restaurant.
Okay. Where is it? Because I go to Toronto often.
It's in the West End. It's in Etobicoke.
Okay.
Yeah, it's good Greek food. Shout out Just Greek.
What's the name?
Just Greek.
Just Greek.
I got it tattooed over here.
Oh, very cool.
But yeah, so yeah, it was a big move for our whole family. Pretty much sacrificed everything, just banking on me and my brother to make it as professional soccer players, to live our dreams. And yeah, as of the second year, I think it was a lot easier because I had my mom and my brother around at least. Obviously, not having my dad around all the time is not easy for sure, but he would come and visit more often than not, so that was always good. And then slowly I went through the ranks. I played under 16, 17, under 19. I played for the B team of Panathinaikos. I got some chances with the first team, and now I'm here.
Sweet. And then when did you said you came here about a year and a half ago?
Yeah, a year and a half ago.
Was there a reason, or was it purely the business of football, let's say, or was there a reason to come back and be closer to your family?
I was already on my way out from Panathinaikos. So living in Greece, especially a country that is so in love with football, but the thing is, because they don't have the finances nor the skill level to back it up, it's not like a top 5 league in Europe, so it's not England, Spain, France, or Italy. There's a lot of corruption that goes along with that. There's a lot of who knows who, that person's going to get more opportunities than this guy, blah, blah, blah. So I was already on my way out at that point. I wasn't happy with my whole situation because I felt as if I was being unfairly treated in terms of the opportunities I was getting. So yeah, again, I was already on my way out, and Montreal came knocking, and it seemed like the perfect scenario, especially given my mom was raised in Laval, so I speak French. Great market, great city. They showed a genuine interest in me, so I came.
Nice. And were your mom and brother still with you up until you came back here?
Yeah, they were still there in Greece, and then we all moved back as a family.
And did they come back to? Did they go back to Toronto? Or
so my mom is in Toronto with my dad, and then my brother lives with me here.
Now he's here. Okay, cool. So yeah, you're 23.
23.
So it seems like you're super young at first sight, but you've been in there for almost 18 years.
Yeah.
So yeah, what do you see? What do you see coming in the next few years? And what I'd like to dig into also in this podcast is what goes behind the scene of sports. So you mentioned a lot about, you summarized 18 years in 14 minutes. Yeah. But there are a bunch of stuff that happened behind the curtain. The highs and lows, the fact that you don't play when you think you could play and stuff like that. So yeah, how do you cope with that? And is there also a mental aspect to sport that you realized younger in age and that you have to work on a continuous basis?
Yeah, so I'm sorry, that was a bit of a loaded question. What was the beginning?
The first one was what do you see coming in the next few years?
What do I see coming?
Then the mental aspect of sports.
Look, I don't try and look too far in the future. That's something I've learned throughout the years, is that like the further you look into the future about what's going to happen, and me personally, soccer changes like this. Yeah. Like in a month's time, 2 months time, you could have all the hype in the world, and then after one fuck up, you're gone. You're like erased from history. It doesn't matter. And also from being erased from history, you can go to sky high. So when you're living a life like that, where it's just constant ups and downs, or even you just got to ride the train of hype or whatever it is, it's all about just trying to keep consistent with your mental aspect of the game. So for me, I don't look too far into the future, to be honest. I just look at what I can control, not things I can't control. So every day, what I can control is to pull up to training and give 120%, and then whatever happens, happens. If I give my best, and I've said to myself, I've given everything to this game, then no matter the outcome, I can be happy with myself. I don't live life with regrets. And now in terms of elaborating on the mental aspect, I think it was LeBron James that said that it's about 80% of an athlete's life is the mental aspect rather than the physical nor the technical nor any other aspect of sport. I would say it's closer to 90% because it's so undervalued how much adversity you have to go through, how many highs, how many lows, being consistent when you're on a high to ride the high, when you know you're hitting a low to try and make sure the low is as buffed as possible so that you don't nosedive. There's so much that goes on behind the scenes in terms of, say a coach doesn't put me to play, coach doesn't like me, I got into a fight with a teammate, this, that, I did this, I did that. You can make all the excuses that you want, but if you're not able to cope with all the different aspects of the game in terms of different facts being thrown at you here and there, different relationships you're going to have with people, that's the most important thing.
Yeah, and so last week I was talking to Brandon Hines-Ike. He plays at the Austin, DC, and he had a few stories from back when he was in Europe, saying that he was on a high, and then suddenly the coach the coach was fired, and the new guy came in. He was like no questions asked in the starting 11.
Yeah,
and then overnight he went to like the end of the bench, no reason, but he just had to go with it for like 6 months. And sometimes it's justified, bad performance and stuff. Sometimes it is not. So probably you've faced a few stuff like that. So there's the daily things. How do you wake up and say, yeah, I'm gonna go on the field and I'm gonna train, and tomorrow I'll do the same, and I know I'm giving my 120%, but I'm not given the chance to.
Yeah, for sure. Like that's where the hardest part is when everything's going shit, and that you're not being pushed by the coach, you're not getting the opportunities that you should, you're not being rewarded for the work that you're putting in. But the thing is that you can't control that because that's other people that are making those decisions. What you can control is how hard you work every single day and what performances you give on the field, because that's strictly you. It's what you do. So when you control all that, you're doing it for yourself. You're not doing it for other people. And nor should any athlete look at it as, I'm doing it so that people can look at me. I'm playing soccer because I want to have millions of followers on Instagram, or I want to have millions of fans chanting my name. You do it for yourself. You do it for your pride. You do it for your legacy. You do it for your family, and you do it for your ultimately dad. Well, for me, mainly for my dad, but my whole family made so many sacrifices. Not just my dad. My mom is a superhero. My grandparents, they gave up a whole relationship with their grandsons, me and my brother, just so that we can live our dream. So I think that says a lot. And also my mom and dad, they sacrificed their relationship with each other. Yeah. They lived apart for 7 years. So, you can't not nudge these people for what they did.
Yeah. And so how do you came here about a year and a half ago. How different is North America when it comes to soccer? So you've known North America, then you went to Europe, then you came back here. What are the main difference, whether it's purely on the sports side or on what happens behind the scene, the team, the coach, the staff, and all that?
Yeah. Well, in terms of the actual sport itself, I would say there's a lot less pressure here in the United States and in Canada in general when it comes to sports, because first of all, there's no promotion and relegation system like there is in Europe, and there's also no fighting for, there is, but there are very few spots, and it's only reserved for the top teams in terms of Champions League, in terms of playing intercontinental competitions. So there, even a difference between finishing 9th place and 8th place is huge in terms of money, in terms of everything. Yeah. And then if you're finishing at the bottom of the table, you're down a division, and the whole team has to restart their finances, their everything. So I think there's so much more pressure being put on the players in Europe, and that's why it brings out the best in players. And also there's pressure from the fans. The fans, especially in Greece, are absolute animals. When I say animals, I truly mean animals. They are they kill people for the club that they love. It's more than a religion. They've been brainwashed by the idea of this club that they're willing to kill for it. And I'm not just saying kill because I'm saying something random. There have been instances where Greek fans have killed each other over the teams that they support. So, and multiple ones. It's not just one. Like over history, I'm sure there have been thousands of people that have died because of the club that they support. So when you have that kind of pressure, these people that are genuine animals that are in the stands rooting for you, and if your team is doing horrible, they will let you know. I've had like stories to tell from when I was in Panathinaikos that no person probably has ever seen. So I remember specifically, I was training with the first team. I think I was like 17, 18 years old. And I was just training there. Like I still played for the under 19 team, but I was getting opportunities to train with the first team. And so the team was going through a rough spell, both financially. We were something around 60 to 70 million euros in debt. And like even us players that were signed as professionals, we were not paid for 3-4 months.
No way.
Yeah. So it was a very rough time for the club. And on top of that, we suffered, I think, 3 straight defeats to like a very not on our level team in the first division of Greece. And so the fans got so pissed off that I think it was around 100 of them. They marched up to our training ground and they broke in. So they went through the security guard. They didn't even they just waltzed right through. They walked onto the field as we were training. They started kicking balls. They started breaking nets and they were swearing at us. They were saying, "What that is this?" And like, "You guys should be ashamed of yourselves." And then this is how they they gave us a good talking to, like, "You guys aren't putting in effort. You guys aren't doing this." Okay, whatever. And we're listening. And then they closed it with this: "I swear on my life, we have all your addresses. We know where you live. You guys keep this up. Just remember, we know where you live." And they left. So me, as an 18-year-old kid, I haven't even played for the first team yet. To see this,
then you're like, "I don't play. I'm not a player."
Well, obviously, you're not going to say that.
I'm just the intern.
You're just there. I'm like in shock of what I'm seeing, and then you're supposed to go home and sleep at night. It's crazy.
Yeah, so you say it brings the best of people, but it probably can frighten.
Oh, it could definitely traumatize some players. I would guarantee that if there was players from North America, well, I'm sure South America has a very similar culture, but. In terms of North America, if you're being born and raised here in America or in Canada and you go and see that, you're like, what is going on? Because it's not normal. Here, everything is, pretty much la-di-da.
Chill.
It's chill. There, it's life or death when it comes to sports.
And as a player, does it bring, for you, you said you were worried, you were 18, but does it bring more like thrill as to what I'm doing is actually having an impact on those fans, those 100, but there are a few, but also people are so involved in the sport that, going on the field, you feel that the thousands of people watching you are like more into it than they might be here because soccer is not yet at the same level?
I genuinely think that the fans live the game more than the players do. Because
over there.
Not just there, I think here as well, in general, because the fans, they see it as a passion. Meanwhile, for us, we go in every day, we train, we do our things, whatever. It's a job. Obviously, when you get to a point where, you're actually enjoying doing your job, obviously it's a little bit more. But the thing is that we're doing this for 15, 20 years out of our lives. It is a job because we go in every single day. People don't see that we wake up at 7 a.m. in the morning every day. We go and train. And then after training, we have our recoveries. We have our gym. We have whatever. And it's really taxing on the mind to be able to give everything day in, day out. And then on top of that, be a fan. It's for me, I don't know about other players, but for me, it's almost impossible.
Yeah. So you really see that more as a job. You still have fun doing it?
Oh, 100%. I definitely have fun. And I think I have probably the best job on earth because, I think more than half the world would want to have my job. But the thing is that at the end of the day, a job's a job.
Yeah. Do you... knowing that you said half of the population would want your job, and you're still young, but you kind of give back and you try to bring younger people to soccer here. Is it something that you're interested into and that you?
Yeah, for sure. I've got little cousins. I've got extended family that they all look up to me because I was the one kid that made it out of the whole family, and also in terms of the Greek community there, I'm that guy, right? So I've also organized when I go back to Toronto for my first team, Olympic Flame, the Greek one that I was talking about, to go back and just talk with the kids a little bit and, tell them about my story. I think it's very important, obviously, because you get different viewpoints of how my career went, and nobody's journey is the same. Yeah. Mine is going to be completely different to my brother's. My brother's is going to be completely different to everyone else that's trying to become a pro. But at the end of the day, it's good to take inspiration from these people, especially when, I stepped on the same grass that they did.
Nice. And so now talking about MLS and North America, what do you think is missing for MLS to get the level of interest that those European countries have when it comes to soccer?
I think that the most important thing is this whole relegation promotion thing. It's really, I think it's detrimental to the game here in North America, because the teams that are towards the bottom of the league, there's no incentive for them to continue trying. And then meanwhile, you have teams in like the second division of the US, the USL, or even CPL teams. Like, for example, like a week ago, CF Montreal, we lost to Forge, which also we're going through a bad spell. That's the truth. But also it shows Forge's quality as well, that they're actually able to go in and they play good soccer for sure. So there's no incentive for those clubs to,
make the extra effort.
Other than, okay, if you're playing CPL, you get a Champions League spot. Okay, then you get to play against some intercontinental rivals. But the thing is that for them, like, the whole thing is that they want to be playing day in, day out with top level. And, especially Forge, they've won it to 4 years out of 5 that the CPL is around. If any team deserves to make a jump up, it's them. But because of
really
the system,
no
that's how it is.
Plan to be able to move them, because it looks a bit like in the NBA when we say like the teams are tanking. They know they'll be at the bottom, so they'll just get even worse to have the top pick at the draft.
But that's a whole other problem in itself, because, for example, the MLS draft is so everyone gets their pick of players that come out of college. Now, these kids, when they're coming out of college, most of them are 23 years old, 24 years old. They had to fully complete their bachelor's degree, and then they come and play. Yeah. The only thing that they're guaranteed coming out of the draft is a tryout. They're not guaranteed a contract. None of them are. Meanwhile, in the NBA, they take them from college and automatically they get a contract. So that's a whole problem in and of itself. And also, I'll give you another example. So you have kids that are 23 years old that are coming out of college. Why would you, especially with globalization and how the game has evolved, you can literally sign anyone from anywhere. You can bring a player from Taiwan. You can bring a player from Australia. It doesn't matter. So why would you pick, like, this is me thinking as if I was a GM. Why would you pick a player that is 23 years old, has only played college throughout his whole life, probably rarely had any other opportunities in terms of playing academy here in the US, how it's structured, over a kid that's 17 years old playing in the Australian First Division? He's already made 10 appearances with the pros. He's playing with men. What's the incentive? So I think, again, this whole system is flawed in terms of how we produce players, how we, I'm talking we as in North Americans, how we try and produce players, how we push players forward. I think in general, it's flawed, and that's why Europe is still light years ahead of us.
Yeah, and I'm thinking, I like to compare sport to business, but it's same way in a company. If you don't have people being promoted and other being fired, if you just keep everyone, whatever they do, then people tend to get lazy and tend to not push, right? If they know they'll get promoted if they work hard, Forge, then they'll work harder. If they know they are on the verge of being fired, they'll work a bit more to be kept, so 100%. To stay on Division 1. So, yeah, 100%. That's something, it will increase the competitiveness between players and then between teams. And also, I mean, it seems light years from what seems to be happening now, which is bringing stars or older stars from Europe, like Miami did, bringing big players to bring people to the stadium to see big players. But maybe it's the wrong approach. Like you said, it doesn't change. Bringing older stars doesn't change the game, because I mean, we had Messi coming a few weeks ago.
That was a whole dream of mine. That was a whole other story.
I'll ask you about that, but it gets people crazy for one game just to see the person, not to see the game and everything that goes around. It's like, I want to see Messi, which is good and amazing, but it didn't necessarily make a better soccer game.
Yeah,
there was
no,
a
for sure.
nice, interesting
Well, there was
score
there
and
was
a bunch of stuff happening, but it's not just because that guy was here, right?
Yeah, there was too much quality on the field at that point in Montreal. It was
So how was it?
unbelievable.
How was it?
That was a dream. So for me, when I was playing, when I was trying out for Espanyol in Barcelona, my dad got me and him tickets to go watch El Clasico, and this is like
Crazy.
prime Barcelona, prime Real Madrid, Jose Mourinho and Pep Guardiola as the coaches, like, you know, the pinnacle of sport, in my opinion. You have Messi and Ronaldo on the same field. You have like Xavi and Iniesta, Sergio Ramos.
It's like
and
all-star
Pepe.
game.
Like
It's like the all-star game.
it's literally an all-star game. It was unbelievable. So I watched that game, and I was just in shock at what I was seeing, right? And then to see Suarez, Messi, Busquets on the same field in Montreal.
In the same life.
Like, I was just like unbelievably shocked. And thankfully, I got my jersey signed by Messi after the game. So that was a big, big dream come true
You
for
have
me.
it on your wall now?
Oh, I'm going to get it framed and everything, yeah.
For sure. Very cool. Are you active on social media and stuff? Or is it something that you do?
Not too much, because there's a lot of fans that try and interact with you, a lot of misinformation being thrown out there, so it's a little bit difficult to manage around what's true and what's not, and especially when, you know, you're on TV every other weekend. It's not very good for the mind to have so many different opinions floating around in your head. Try and avoid it as much as possible, but
And is that something that you make an effort not to be active on? Because every person that can be famous will mostly, you know, have thousands of followers and stuff. Is that something that you try to move away from? You have an agent for the sport and business related stuff. Do you have like people just helping you or trying to keep you away from that, and so that you can focus on
not
the
necessarily.
sport?
I think that's something I put on myself, and just to manage myself, just you know, try and limit screen time, whether it's you know, switch off from different social medias at a time. Obviously, I gotta, you know, keep in touch with my family, my girlfriend, with a bunch of different people in terms of messaging, but in terms of like looking at whatever person is posting this, I really don't care.
So where is your girlfriend living? Because you said she flew to
Yeah,
see
so
you last
she's
week.
my girlfriend is living in Holland. She's currently studying there.
Oh, wow.
We met in Greece when we were in high school. Didn't start dating until last year. We've been doing long distance since. It's been pretty rough, but it is what it is. She's worth it.
You have like an end date where she'll come back, or because she's studying, you said? So
She's studying. She's still got 2 more years, so I guess we'll see how my
That
career
will-
goes. We'll see how her studying goes, and we'll manage it from there.
Very cool. What can we wish you for the next 2 years, let's say? You said you don't look too much into the future, which is great, but you probably have a few stuff that you hope you can achieve by then.
Well, to be honest, I want to go back to Europe. I don't particularly I don't want to be in North America long term, because obviously the pinnacle of the sport is playing in Europe, no matter where it is. And just in general, I would want to progress as much as I can here and then go back at some point.
Nice. If you had 10, 15 seconds with 10-year-old Ilias, where were you when you were 10-year-old? Probably in Toronto.
I was still in Toronto, yeah.
What would you tell him? A piece of advice.
Oof. See, I don't like looking in the past too much, because then you're thinking about stuff that you regret doing, or I try to live life every day at a time with no regrets, no thinking back saying, oh, I could have done this, oh, I could have done that. I always just do whatever I do to the best of my ability. Honestly,
or what would 10-year-old you tell today you?
Keep smiling, to be honest. Yeah, because there's a lot of people that are going to try and bring you down. A lot of different scenarios are going to, try and derail you, throw you off your game, throw you off your personal life and whatever. Just, I like to use a quote from the movie Madagascar. The penguins, when they're like, smile and wave, boys, smile and wave. That's all you need to do in life sometimes.
Very cool. Smile and wave.
Yeah.
If you had one athlete that you know that you think would have an interesting story, could be your brother, could be another player, could be another sports, who would that person be?
That I know personally?
Well, that you know the story is interesting.
That I know the story is interesting. I think my story is actually pretty interesting, and anyone I tell it to, they're all pretty shocked at what I did, what my family did for me, all these kinds of things. So I think it's a pretty interesting story. So I think the next best thing would be to get an opinion from my brother for sure.
See the other side.
Yeah, for sure.
How you said that. So perfect. I'll try to reach out. And the last one is what you saw when you came in. I started building that wall of fame, I think.
The wall.
Do you have any gear from your career, anything that hangs in one of your drawers that you think you could hand out with a quick signature on it?
Yeah, for sure. I could definitely do that. I can get a CF Montreal something of
whatever you have
from the team. Yeah, for sure. I would definitely love to add to this wall.
Very nice. There must be there's some space here. I'll put you in the middle.
Yeah, make space.
Thank you so much, Ilias. I hope I'll actually come and see you quite often, because the summer is coming.
Yeah, for sure. Nice weather. Montreal, Stade Saputo is going to be on fire.
When was the last game? Yesterday?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah. Getting better.
Yeah, slowly getting better, yeah.
Slowly but surely. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much, Ilias.
Thank you very much.
I hope I'll see you around.
Yep, for sure.
Bye.